What's up, amigos? Costa with Beardbrand Alliance. Fashion. Some of us are more into it than others. Some of us don't really care about fashion. Some of us are into high-end clothing, luxury items, designer clothing, and some of us don't really care about that. But there's a few things that we all have in common. We all have to wear clothing. You can't just go around naked because you can get into trouble and get arrested. The second one, we like quality. Everyone likes, as we have to wear them, at least you want to wear something that is quality, something that lasts. And the other one, we want to get these things and save some money. So we want to get them on a cheap. So I've got a few tricks, tips and suggestions that are going to help you get some quality clothing on the cheap. Number one, and this one is one of my favorites for sure. You can get a lot of good stuff on the cheap. Sites that sell pre-loved used items. Don't be put off by that because a lot of these sites actually sell brand new stuff. Or people who sell on these sites, a lot of the people are either influencers or people that have been gifted stuff and didn't wear it. Even stores that have a lot of stock that they couldn't sell. One of my favorite apps for these, there's loads. There's Depop, there's obviously eBay, which is well known, but my favorite one is an app, a website called Vestiaire Collective. And the reason I really like these is because I can find pretty much anything in there, and there's a security to it, which is these people verify if what the seller is selling before it gets to you, if it's real. So there's a lot of security in that. Yes, it might take a bit longer than, for example, Depop, where you can buy and the seller posts it straight to you and you get it a lot quicker, but you don't know if the item is going to be real or not. So with Vestiaire, they do a proofing. So first the seller sends it to their HQ, one of their HQs, and then it's looked at by an expert to see if it's real or not, if you're buying an expensive item. But anyway, Vestiaire is definitely the one that I would go first before any other app, because you can find pretty much anything. And if you're looking for something specific that I want this item that I know it's quality, but it's very pricey, go and search for that item on Vestiaire, and I'm pretty sure you will find it there. On Vestiaire, I've actually managed to get a jacket that I was after for a few years. It was a shearling jacket. I can show you an image. I was looking for this jacket for ages. This jacket sold out really quickly from the designer, which was quite expensive at the time as well. I could not afford it. Anyway, I ended up finding it on Vestiaire very, very cheap for a very small fraction of the price. Also on Vestiaire, if you're really into fashion, if you're into your designer clothing, you can find it all there. And if you are that kind of person that is in fashion and wants to keep in season, so you want the latest items, you might be lucky, because a lot of the people that get gifted stuff and they don't want to wear it, but you might wear it, they go and sell it there. So you might find a lot of stuff that is still in season and is there for sale. So instead of going to these big designers and you can't afford, check out Vestiaire, search for that item again, and you might find it there and stay in season. So there's lots of little tricks to, if you're in fashion or not, to consider when using these sites, or Vestiaire, for example. Number two, retailers. Retailers usually do these big clearance sale, end of season sales on their websites, where you can get stuff, really good quality stuff, for 80, 60, 70, 50% discount. Let's say if you're into designers, for example, you can get the stuff for like about 70 to 80% discount. That is a big chunk. It might still be a little bit expensive for some of us, but it's definitely more appealing if it's about 80% the discounted price. I'm going to show you an example that I found on one of the websites that I use the most, which is Farfetch. They do some crazy sales there. And if you're a person that still wants to stay in season, maybe this is a trick that you should or you could bear in mind. A lot of the fashion designers from high-end or middle-end or whatever, when they design their clothing, so obviously there's a season, or if it's not fast fashion, season by season. And every year, if you keep an eye out, there will be a jacket or a shirt that you really wanted last season, but they launched the new one. And if you look, they are very similar. They will always keep a few garments that are pretty much the same. They might change a pocket or the color slightly, and I'm going to give you an example here. So one of my favorite retailers is Farfetch, and they do some crazy sales. They do like from 70 to 80% there. But as I'm going to show you an example of these two jackets here that I've kept my eye on for about 3 years now, right? So the one where I'm hovering now, it's for about 2 seasons ago, right? This one is just from this past season, this winter. As you can see, this jacket is still there, 50% discount. But if you look at the next jacket, it's pretty much the same. They are actually made of the same thing, calf leather, 100%. There's a slight difference, which is the color. One is slightly darker than the other, and the only difference is got some lining, which is cotton, so it's got a different lining on the inside. And the color is different. Apart from that, the jacket is pretty much the same. So maybe a little trick to bear in mind: if you kind of want to stay in season, you don't have to buy the exact jacket that come out right then, you know. So you can buy the previous season jacket, which is pretty much the same thing. There's minimal difference. So it's there to bear in mind, something like that, to save you some money. So this was just the example on the jacket, but you can get really a lot of stuff on a cheap. I made a little list here, like just for example, how cheap the stuff actually gets. A lot of the stuff is more than 50%. So I suggest you either subscribe to their email list or just keep checking these websites. You got Farfetch and Clothing, Mr. Porter. Well, there's loads of retailers out there that do these massive clearances. So that's where you can save some money and get some quality or designer clothing, if you like, on the cheap. Right, this third one, and I've put it last just because of one little reason why I tell it. So outlet stores, outlet shopping malls, if you like. We have a few in the UK that are quite nice, but I know there's some here in the States that are quite good too. And there's loads around the world. Anyway, outlet stores, they're great. You can get a lot of designer stuff, if you like, for cheap. You can get a lot of, not just design, you can get a lot of clothing on a cheap. Now, one thing with outlet for me is, I know some of the stuff is like, still good quality, however, it might be off a little bit, didn't pass the quality control for the designer in a way, like the stitch might be a little bit off or something like that. But I also heard some of these designers make slightly lesser quality items to be sold in these outlet stores. Sometimes the quality of the stuff might not be as great as the one they sell in the main stores, but nevertheless it's still a good quality and quite cheap. So this is the reason why I put it on last. It's probably the last place I would go. If I go to buy expensive stuff, I'll probably go there if I want to buy something in the mid-range, because I think those are quite okay. I've got some deals on some outlet stores, especially with shoe wear. These are some of the tricks and suggestions that could help you save some money on quality clothing. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Dude, you want simplicity? Grab the styling balm. It's designed for your hair and your beard. It will give a satin finish with a medium hold. No, it's not a conditioning product, it's a styling product. Styling balm over at beardbrand.com.